morning and welcome to the National Vaccine Summit presented by C.A.R.P. I'm Marissa Lennox, the Chief Policy Officer of C.A.R.P. and your co-host today. Joining me from the West Coast in our Vancouver studio is Natasha Way. Welcome, Natasha.
Thank you. Thank you, Marissa. So happy to be joining you and everyone at home today. As a healthcare and wellness industry entrepreneur, I know how important it is to be informed.
The COVID pandemic has made vaccines the most important topic of the moment. I, for one, am looking forward to discovering what's new, what we need to know, and what we need to do right now.
In the last few weeks, I've been strategizing with my local regional health authority here in British Columbia to implement a number of initiatives related to COVID-19. I'm also super eager to learn more today, especially as we are receiving so much late-breaking information regarding supply chains and distribution.
In a sea of late-breaking news, conflicting information, fake news, myths, and opinions, we felt it was important to bring you this free half-day educational event on vaccines that you can enjoy from the comfort of your own home.
If you haven't had a chance to peruse the agenda, let me tell you what's coming up in this session. We'll hear opening remarks from Bill VanGorder, Chief Operating Officer at C.A.R.P., formerly known as the Canadian Association for Retired Persons.
Following Bill, we'll be featuring a talk on battling the infodemic around vaccines by the co-producer of the award-winning documentary TV show, A User's Guide to Cheating Death, Timothy Caulfield.
And later on, we'll learn about the role your pharmacist plays in immunizations and the status and history of vaccine production in Canada. Before we turn our attention to our first speaker of the day, we'd like to share a story with you about vaccine manufacturing in Canada.
While as of today, over 3.5 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered, our per capita jabs are still nowhere near countries like Israel and the U.S. We rank only 22nd worldwide in the number of doses administered. But why?
Let's watch this story from Darren Maharaj of Z News as he attempts to discover why Canada is lagging behind in vaccines. Take a look.
We've chosen to work on natural resources, oil and mining. We've got some manufacturing. We have no pharma at all, and this is the price you pay.
Well, they should have been able to make some here in Canada, I would think, and everything would have went more smooth, I think, you know.
This problem started a long time ago with defunding or taking away incentives for pharmaceutical companies to be here.
Well, as you can see, many Toronto residents out here on the Danforth are happy to finally be receiving their shot, but many blame the lack of domestic vaccine production for the slow rollout, forcing us to depend on the U.S. and other countries with manufacturing overseas.
Canadians have a newfound appreciation for the value of a resilient local biopharmaceutical industry. Past efforts to foster the life sciences sector have been undermined by detrimental policies of federal governments for more than a decade. If Canada wants to change course and succeed, it must put a stop to one-way consultations and engage in real dialogue with our industry.
Andrew Casey, the head of the nation's Association of Biotech Companies, says while we do create vaccines here in Canada, comparing them to the latest tech would be like comparing 7-Up with champagne. Other than the fact that they're both liquids, they couldn't be more different, and you can't expect one manufacturer to create the other. Casey also has another great analogy on why the government can't just look at this sector as a cost that they need to cut.
If the Canadian government said no Canadian should pay more than $200 for an iPhone, Apple would say, we get you, that's fine, so you're going to get the iPhone 3. Which is the one that is globally being sold for $200. When the 12 or 13 or whatever version we're in now is at the global price of $200, that's when Canadians will get it. So they won't get it now, they'll get it in 10 years. And everybody would say, that makes sense. We can't expect us to get a special deal as Canadians. And so when you move into the health space, though, obviously people's lives, it changes the dynamic of the conversation. But you can't neglect the fundamental nature of the industry, which is global.
Government officials say they're working hard to accelerate the largest vaccination campaign in Canadian as well as global history, with 36.5 million doses expected by the end of June. Enough for a single dose for every person in the country. In Toronto, I'm Darren Maharaj for The Zoomer.
Thanks, Darren. So where do we go from here? How much longer will we continue to have limited access to vaccines in the midst of a surge in variant cases? And more importantly, what can we do about it? To answer these questions and more, I'd like to turn it over to Bill VanGorder. Bill is the Chief Operating Officer at C.A.R.P. C.A.R.P is Canada's largest advocacy organization for older Canadians and has more than 320,000 members. Hey, Bill, great to see you.
Hey, thank you, Marissa. Good to be here.
Over to you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, C.A.R.P is so pleased to welcome so many of our viewers from right across the country, our C.A.R.P members and their friends and families. And we know from all the correspondence that we've received from you from across the country that vaccines are a really hot topic at the moment. COVID-19 vaccine is top of mind, but we also know that there are many other developments in the world of vaccines that are important to our older Canadians, and we want more information. So that's why C.A.R.P is so proud to present this national summit to you today. This is why C.A.R.P wants to help dispel the myths, give you the facts and suggestions about how you should approach your opportunities to receive various kinds of vaccines. You know, C.A.R.P recently did a survey of its members across the country on the availability of drugs and vaccines. And that national survey got more than 3,600 Canadians from every province replying, and a strong majority of the actual 3,642 respondents said that medicines are valuable to them because they give them great benefits, and they're worried about the new federal price rules that are coming into effect that might restrict their access to vaccines and other medicines. And 1/3 of them believe that the federal government should reconsider its new pricing rules. And they're concerned that vaccines and medicines being very worthwhile won't have the benefits to them that they can provide. 87% said that the new vaccines and medicines should come to Canada at the same time as other countries. We shouldn't have to wait for them. And 65% said if it was necessary to ease drug pricing rules to make that happen, then that's what they wanted to have happen. And they also said, about 25% of them, that if special rules had to be made for COVID vaccines, they wanted those rules to be changed now. They also, the survey gave the respondents an opportunity to write some of their thoughts and opinions. And one is that people feel really strongly that Canadians should have timely access to new medicines and vaccines. And others feel it's important that the same treatments should be paid for in every province and equally available across the country, no matter where you live. Your postal code shouldn't determine the level of health care that you get. In another C.A.R.P survey, we found that 83%, almost 84% of respondents said that adult vaccinations were extremely important, and 71% said that they don't feel Canadian seniors have enough information about adult vaccinations. And that's one of the reasons that we're prepared to present this summit today. When we asked them what vaccines were important to them in addition to COVID, they talked about high-dose vaccines, they talked about shingles, they talked about the pneumococcal vaccines as being very important to them. So C.A.R.P survey underlined the need for this national vaccine summit that we're holding today. We wanted to educate a large national audience on the issues, and we wanted to relay C.A.R.P stance and opinion on vaccines, and also talk about the limited vaccine manufacturing that's available in Canada right now and its impact on all of us. We want to give you the information and the tools regarding vaccines for preventable diseases. We want to talk about vaccine safety, vaccine effectiveness, and the benefits. When you're done today, C.A.R.P wants you to have the confidence both in the vaccines and your ability to communicate effectively with your family and your friends about vaccines. So today you're going to learn about how the COVID vaccines were able to be developed so quickly, about the questions that folks are asking about the very new vaccines. C.A.R.P believes that vaccines are well scrutinized, they're tested, they're safe, they're effective, and that the COVID-19 has made this upcoming flu season even more dangerous and unpredictable as ever. And we're counting on all Canadians to realize that we have to make sure that we've got the appropriate flu vaccines available for next fall so that we don't end up with a double pandemic at the same time. The best way, is to take control of your own health. Protecting both yourself and your loved ones, to keep up to date with your vaccinations against not only COVID, but also the other preventable diseases like flu, shingles, and pneumonia. And the older we get, the more likely we are to suffer severe consequences from getting sick, including the risk of heart attack, hospitalization, and even worse. In another survey, we found that 86% of C.A.R.P members agree that the same medication should be covered by all the provincial governments, and 48% told us that they don't have private prescription drug coverage, so they're counting on their province to look after them. And over half of the C.A.R.P members would find it very, very difficult to pay for the costs of vaccines if they weren't covered by their province. So what's C.A.R.P doing about that? Well, we're calling on governments to invest in adult immunization to prevent illness, not just COVID, but all the preventable diseases. That'll reduce hospitalization. It'll maximize the return on healthcare spending. It'll save the government money, all by investing in those vaccines for people over 65. So we hope the information that you received today from the Vaccine Summit will help you to understand how you could help us influence government. We can talk at this national level all we like about the things we want government to do, but it's only when you contact your local representatives, your MP, your MLA, your local municipal representatives, and tell them what you want, you as a voter, that's when they really listen. So we hope you'll take the information today from the Vaccine Summit, that it'll lead you to contact those elected officials in your riding, tell them you want them to invest in adult immunization and assure that all at-risk older adults get the coverage that they need. In fact, immunization saves more lives, more Canadian lives than any other form of health intervention, and it reduces the burden and strengthens our healthcare system. We also know that there are several best-in-class vaccinations that are available to people who are at risk. Older adults need to have that effective protection. And these, there's no secret what they are. The National Advisory Committee on Immunization outlines what they are, how they should be delivered. There's no magic to it. The provincial governments just have to follow what the national experts are saying should be done. So if we know all of this, it begs the question, why aren't governments across Canada fully funding these recommended vaccinations? They have the power to save lives. Why aren't they made easily accessible to seniors? Good questions for you to ask your local elected members. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We know that this means you agree that vaccination for COVID and other life-threatening diseases is vitally important to you and to everyone else, and that we have to have convenient and easy access to them. Please take what you hear today from our experts, repeat it to your friends, family, and neighbors, and help us underline the need for improved system of making sure vaccinations are available to all of those who require them. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of C.A.R.P's day.